It is, yeah. He's a guy. I watched that LSU game as it happened, and he's a guy who jumps out at you when you watch him play. That's one of the most athletic defenses we played last year when I played against him, and the things he was able to do with his feet and his arm against them shows you what type of athlete he is. So it's going to be a huge challenge trying to contain him with his arm and his legs.
Can you talk about stopping the ground game at TCU? It's pretty blanket and catalog.
Yeah, those are two of the more explosive players in the country. And then you throw in Carter, who's out there making plays as a wideout. So they're very talented on offense, have great speed, great explosiveness, and we're going to have to find a way to try and contain those guys.
Does it help at all that some of these guys on the defense have seen Boykin before and they know kind of what he does?
I'm not sure. It looks like he's progressed a lot as a player just watching these first two games. So I'm sure he's got a lot to prove, and you can tell that he's come a long way in his progress as a QB these first 2 weeks.
Would you prefer to play against Paul Hall?
It's kind of pick your poison. I mean, Paul Hall's a first-round type talent, and then you bring in a guy who's as good a dual threat as there is in the country. So you don't want to play against either of them, but it'll be a tough challenge this week.
Cliff, what do you think about just in general playing a ranked team first conference game this early? I mean, do you feel like, how prepared do you feel like your team is for just this step up in conference?
Yeah, we'll find out. It's a great measuring stick. I mean, they're at the top of the conference, and I think if you look at all the preseason polls where people have picked them with all the returners they have coming back, it's going to be a great challenge. I'm not sure where we're at as a team, but I know they're really good.
Pete Robertson said the other night after the game, that the biggest difference for him between game 1 and 2 was the communication with the defense and the coaches. Is there something that you saw that your team was doing from the first game to the second game that stood out to you after looking at the film?
I just think you can't replicate or simulate game day. We tried to do it in practice, tried to do it in scrimmages, but until you get out there under the lights, things are moving that fast. So it took that first week to work out some of the kinks, and hopefully most of those are out.
Could you talk about the history and the tradition of this rivalry?
Yeah, it's good to have it back. I know I didn't play it when I was here, and I know it went away after the Southwest Conference for a time, but both fan bases are very passionate and seem to really enjoy this rivalry. So I think it's good that we get to play them every year, and should be good for the fans.
How does the Thursday game kind of change up y'all's routine?
Just have to adjust some things, cut some things down, and really talk to the kids about mental reps. You're not going to get as many physical reps on the field as you would in a normal week, so it's all about film study and taking care of their bodies and being able to handle that quick turnaround.
Can you talk about Baker's mobility and just using that mobility at times?
Yeah, as a young quarterback, it's survival mode a lot of times out there, and he did a great job extending plays, keeping things alive, made some huge third downs with his feet last week, and as he continues to progress in our offense, hopefully, he'll know when to run and when to hang in there and throw the ball, and we're still working through that.
Do you design anything to tailor your offense to his running ability?
Yeah, we'll adapt to what he can do best and take it from there.
Is there a chance that Quick might see some playing time on Thursday?
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance. He, like y'all saw, he got in and executed the offense well, and he's been really performing well in special teams. So he's pushing his way, towards some playing time.
Could you talk about Kramer Fife and his kickoffs? Is it a stronger leg? Is it technique? Is it just a second year doing it?
Yeah, I think he's just comfortable. We see it every day in practice. He's just very confident, very consistent with his stroke, and so that's been a huge weapon for us, especially this week. If we can put him through the end zone and not allow Catalan to touch the ball ever, I mean, he's the best in the country right now. So we need to try and put it through every time we can.
Who's taking first team reps at right guard?
This week it was James Polk.
You anticipate Carpenter being in the mix this week? Do you have a chance?
We'll see. Same deal, day to day. He's a guy who's a veteran, and we know what he can do. So if he was ready on Saturday, we'd put him in. So we're working through that.
Cliff, this is arguably the toughest defense so far this year that you'll be facing. Are you going to make any adjustments on the offensive line to try and accommodate for that sort of uptick in skill from TCU?
Just try to get him better this week. It's going to be a huge challenge. It's by far the best defensive line we will have faced, and one of the best we're going to face all year. not just Fields. He's a tremendous player, but the entire D-line. And Coach Bumpus is one of the best coaches in America at coaching those guys. So you turn them on tape, there's no weaknesses. They attack all game, and we're going to have to play our best game to try and protect Baker.
Kliff, to kind of follow up on that, I was going to ask you, what are you most impressed with by what they do defensively? I mean, looking at like yourself being a quarterback, if you turn on the tape of them, what do you think is the biggest concern?
Yeah, I would say just there's never any easy yards. You have to earn every inch you get. They never bust. They never make a mistake. If you hit a big play, it's because you made a great play, and I think that's a sign of a well-coached defense. And you see that each and every day. You try to turn on the film and try to find something, but it's not there. They do a great job coaching those guys. They're always in the right place to make plays.
Coach, you have an update on Michael Brewer, how he's doing in his recovery?
Yeah, he's doing well. That's really all I got. I talk to Anthony every day, and he updates me, and he says day to day, and I'd expect him to be throwing very soon.
Is Trey Haverty more of an asset this week than usual?
Trey's always an asset with what he does. He brings so much energy, not only coaching but in the recruiting side of it. Passionate about this place, so it hadn't changed. He has a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Patterson and TCU, and he loves those kids. So it'll be mixed emotions for him. But we're excited he's here, and I know he's happy to be, back at Texas Tech.
Do you have any connections to Gary Patterson or his staff?
I do not. I don't. No. Just watching from afar, just the record he's compiled there in his 13 years, like I think 117 and 37 or something ridiculous. So he's one of the best in the country at developing players, and does a tremendous job.
Kliff, to follow up on Michael Brewer for a moment, whatever time comes that he is cleared, considering how much practice time he has missed, how much practice time do you anticipate he will need to get back into it?
I think quite a bit. We have that bye week coming up, which should help, but I would assume, it's going to be an extended period of time before we feel like he'd be game ready. It's not easy, with the style of play we have and up tempo and how much we put on a quarterback just to roll right back in and pick it up. So,
Coach, what does Micah always do well?
He's full speed, full go all the time. He's a great student athlete, and just brings energy each and every day. He's one of the vocal leaders on our team and does things the right way, and so you appreciate that about him.
Any chance Carlos Thompson will be returning more punts for you guys?
He did a good job. He put the one on the ground, which you don't like to see, and he's still young and growing up, but it was fun to see when the lights turned on that, he likes that moment, and so that's encouraging, and he's got a really bright future if he can continue to handle his business on and off the field.
Anything special you're going to tell Baker this week about playing his first Big 12 game and what thugs he's going to be up against?
No, but I mean he's played in big moments. I mean, you playing state championship games in front of 50,000 people in high school like he did. Said it along. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's got goals, and he's trying to prove a lot of people wrong. So I know he's excited about this opportunity.
With that chip on his shoulder, does it increase a little bit with TCU, considering that's where it's been documented he wanted to go?
I'll leave that to y'all, but I know he'll be fired up.
What is the focus for the front seven on defense this week with such a nice offense that TCU has?
Yeah, they got to contain the quarterback first and foremost. Can't let him get running wild because he can hurt you with his legs, and I think that's the biggest deal. Try to contain him as much as you can, and get pressure on him when you can, because they got Carter streaking down the field and a couple other receivers that can really run.
Regarding your special teams, you mentioned, we talked about Kramer earlier, and you've had some pretty good returns, also pretty good coverage. It seems like on punts and kickoffs both. How pleased have you been just in special teams overall?
It's been exciting. We've made that an emphasis since we got here, that our good players are going to play on special teams. So starters play, and then we need to develop young guys that step in and take pride in that role. And I think our assistant coach has done a really good job. It's led by Coach Haverty, but all the assistants play a role, making that important to our team. And so far, they've done a good job.
Coach, do you kind of, I know you're the OC and the head coach, but do you kind of chime in on the defensive side of the ball with, since you run the offense, that you can kind of hey, you need to look at this, or telling them how to read their keys? Since you're so offensive minded, do you kind of ever go to Wallerstedt and tell them, hey, this is probably what we need to do, or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, more when we play similar offenses, so the Oklahoma State, West Virginia, things of that nature. I'll just kind of give him my 2 cents, but that's his baby, and I let him roll with it.
Cliff, how much of that game last year, have you seen, and what kind of stood out to you in their triple overtime win last year?
Just it was a heck of a football game. Both teams kept going back and forth, and a lot of good players made plays, and so it was fun to watch on film, and so hopefully we can have another great game this year.
Can you talk about how Jakeem Grant has had an impact this season?
Yeah, he's since I saw him in the spring, he's one of the more explosive players I've coached, and we're going to try to get him the ball any way we can, and when he gets it, special things happen. So he's got to continue, to work on areas of his game, route technique, blocking, things of that nature, but you can't coach that explosiveness he has. So we'll keep trying to get him the ball.
Jordan Davis, could he be back this week? Or
Yeah, I think he's progressing well, but he'll be a game time decision.